Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Now, we've all heard the term financial literacy or getting financially fit, but what exactly is financial therapy? And to take it to the next level, are you anxious with money or do you avoid money? If you answered yes, then this episode is for you. Today, I'm joined by Aseel El-Baba, founder and CEO of Holistic Optimal Wealth and co-founder of Mindfulness and Money. Aseel is a financial therapist, and she focuses on helping people change their money mindset and how they think, feel, behave, and communicate about money. So, Aseel, welcome to Empowered. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, before we begin, I want to congratulate you on your new win, your new award. This happened in early February 2024. Can you tell us a little bit about what you just achieved?
Yes, I just won the North America's largest inspiration contest, speaking contest. I shared a very personal story about my name, how my name came to be, and then how I passed on that message to my son as well, because I'm a new mom, so I recently had to name my son. And I won that award, although it was a very challenging story to share, but it's a very exciting milestone because I wanted to set the stage of being a speaker this year, and I set that intention. So I created that momentum to start.
That's incredible. This begs another question. Tell me about your name.
Oh my goodness. Long story short, I'm from Lebanon. So during the Lebanese Civil War, my mom, who's a Muslim, was forbidden to see her best friend, a Christian, on the other side of the city. And their friendship survived the war and the terror that they had to go through. And they decided to name their firstborn daughter in the spirit after the other in the spirit of unity. So when I was pregnant, I'm married to a Palestinian. My son holds that identity. I was searching for Hebrew names because I wanted to pass on that message of unity to his lineage as well.
Wonderful. What a beautiful story. So let's begin. What is financial therapy?
Oh my goodness, it's my life's work, my purpose. I'm so excited about this field because it's truly the intersectionality between mental health and financial health. And there's more awareness on how these two things have a bi-directional relationship, which means they impact one another. And as the more we know about that, the more the need is for professionals who are cross-trained. Financial Therapy Association actually started right after the 2008 market crash, when exactly people started recognizing the need for professionals who can hold space for the messy emotions that come up with that conversation, but also have financial background to also know some of the strategies and tools that are also still important for overall financial health.
So who is this for? Who needs financial therapy?
If you ask me, I think everybody can use that because it's about improving the relationship we have with money. So it's not necessarily about what's in our bank account or what investment strategies we have or meeting certain milestones, although that could be part of it. The bigger piece is the emotional and financial well-being that go in that conversation. So there could be people with lots of wealth but have maybe anxieties around that, or shame or embarrassment, or limiting beliefs or unhealthy behaviors, or addictions like gambling or spending. So anybody who is aware of the impact that the area of money has on their overall quality of life, which could impact their health, their relationships, their careers, can certainly use the support of a financial therapist to talk about these things and put strategies in place to support financial well-being.
So we have about 30 seconds before we go to the first break, but I want to ask you, what does a financial therapist do?
The way I put it is that there's 3 R's. The first is regulate, help clients regulate so that they can actually have a balanced nervous system that then supports them in relating to whatever happened in their lives around money, understanding your money story, and then reason. That's when financial strategies come in. So regulate, relate, reason.
Okay, so we'll be back in a few minutes and we're going to talk about how does somebody actually become a financial therapist. So please don't go away. We will be right back with more. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's episode, we're discussing financial therapy healing and your relationship to money. So, Aseel, before we went to break, I had mentioned, how do you become a financial therapist?
So if you ask, right now there's the Financial Therapy Association, and there's about 400 members or so in that. If you ask each of them how you came about to be a financial therapist, each will have a different answer, mainly because this is a relatively new field. However, the main components of a financial therapy is somebody who is cross-trained in both the financial and the mental health. Sometimes, though, there's a more prominent training in a home body to what their original education is. Personally, I'm educated equally in both, and that's a rare thing to begin with because my formal training was in financial planning. I spent a decade in the banking system. I managed a portfolio of $100 million. My last job was on Bay Street. And then I pivoted it completely into a 5-year psychotherapy training to equip myself with the right tools to support clients more in the emotional and the psychological and behavioral aspects of this conversation. So what's important for you to know when you're asking a financial therapist is to be clear on what it is your goal. Like, are you looking more for strategies and a financial plan in place, or are you looking more to talk about your financial trauma and the way money impacts you, and how it's maybe some of the anxieties or the fears you have around it? So it's important to get clear on what your objective is to align yourself with the right financial therapist or
So,
financial planner.
so what made you get into this field? You said that you were managing $100 million. You worked on Bay Street. But why the switch?
Um, I feel like when you turn your own pain into purpose, you heal. So I personally struggled with a lot of financial adversity growing up in a war zone, but also coming to Canada with a single mother and having to rely on like the welfare and the food bank system in my early days to really get me started. So a lot of it had to do with healing my own relationship with money and recognizing that it's beyond just the spreadsheets and the strategies. But also because I created that safe space for my clients where I probed for further details on some of the conversations, naturally I started getting that feedback from clients referring to me as a therapist. But after hearing it so much, I'm like, I'm onto something here. Like, every client considers me their therapist, and a lot of financial planners will probably relate to that. But I didn't feel like I had the right tools in my toolbox to really address that missing piece of the conversation. So I went back to school to support healing my relationship with money, but also creating filling the gaps of the conversation that the traditional industry doesn't necessarily dive deep into.
I give a lot of speeches on financial literacy on a regular basis. And this question always comes up on a regular basis. Why is money such a complex topic to talk about?
Yeah, I think it's a great question to consider and reflect on. And I think part of that is because of how multifaceted this conversation is and how connected it is to practically every aspect of our life. So sometimes we think we're talking about money, but we're really talking about self-worth, identity, our relationships, the relationships we have with the world around us. And there's so much layers to that in itself. This very morning, I had a client actually where we recognized that for her it was around money and security and money and safety, and for her it was the opposite relationship that what most people have, because a lot of people equate having money to feeling secure. For her it was the exact opposite. For her, having money meant I'm now exposed, I'm now a target. It actually meant the opposite of security, which is interesting because that's why she's rejecting money at any cost. So it's interesting to understand that while you think you're dealing with money, it's just a symptom and a secondary issue to a more primary root cause that's taking place. And a financial therapist helps you discover and explore what that is, what's the root of the conversations that we're really having and the ultimate issues that result from that.
And it becomes more difficult because Canada has been built upon immigrants. My parents came
Mhm.
to Canada as immigrants. I was the firstborn, and I was taught to save every penny. And I've always worried about not having enough money. So money plays a lot in people's minds. So
Yeah.
when we come back from this next commercial break, we're going to talk about, how do you know if you have financial trauma? Because everybody has some relationship with money, some more deeper than others. So please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. On today's episode, we're discussing financial therapy, healing your relationship to money. Now, before we went to break, I talked about how do you know if you have financial trauma? So how do you know?
So first, let's define what financial trauma is. Essentially, it's a series of adverse experiences that you've encountered that disrupts your sense of normalcy or safety or security, especially when it comes to your relationship with money. And there are certainly two types of traumas to be aware of. The word trauma automatically leads people to believe it's like big events that normally we associate with trauma, like growing up in poverty, being encountering abuse of any sort. And while these are obviously big T's, there are also small T's that are traumas that are really personal to you, that happen to you that may have not necessarily have had the same impact on someone else. So it's a much more personal relationship, and that is a wide variety of scenarios that could contribute to that. And one might argue that we've all experienced it and explored it on different levels, on different complexities and different depths. So it's important to recognize that as long as you know that your relationship with money is disrupted in whichever capacity, chances are there's unresolved or unprocessed financial trauma that you've encountered along the way. One example could be, for example, I had a client whose parents were workaholics, and while he had all the games and the toys and the luxuries and the vacations growing up and going to private school, he associated money to be more important than him because it took away his parents and they couldn't spend time with him. And that created a form of financial trauma for him, even though money was abundant. And I bring that example up again because we automatically associate financial trauma with the lack of money, when in reality, it could really mean anything that disrupts our sense of safety, security, connection, just like this example did for this client.
It's interesting that you say that because a lot of people that struggle will say, oh, if I only made more money, I'd be fine. If I only had more money. But if you are struggling with debt and you only have more money, you are going to spend it away anyway. Having more money is never the solution. So what I want to ask you right now are, what are common money blocks that people struggle with?
There's definitely the correlation between money being evil, and there's different variations of how we say that, but like there are specifically explicit terminologies like money is the root of evil, money changes you, more money, more problems. So there's like different ways of iterating the same message, and that's a very common one that people struggle with. The other one is around the safety. When you have money, you feel like people are out there to get you, or now you become a target, or success is for some reason not comfortable. There's other ones around gender roles and money, like depending on your culture, your upbringing, your belief systems. There's also a lot around that. You know, Lots of issues come up with females out earning men, or the role of a man and their ability to provide, and these dynamics, and how to share money. Do you join your accounts? How much to share? There's all sorts of things that get in the way of that as well, that can disrupt the harmony of a marital or a long-term relationship. So these are very common things that I see in my practice for sure.
So, okay, so there's a lot of common struggles. How does someone move past their money blocks?
It's important to bring awareness to what's happening. That's the absolute most foundational first step, because awareness is the catalyst for change. Once you're aware of what you're doing and how disruptive or limiting this particular pattern, behavioral, or thought process is, then you certainly can muster the willingness to do something about it. And that's where you seek potential professional help, or depending on the extremity of the situation you're dealing with, there could be different ways to go about it. But it's very important that you normalize talking about money, because you said earlier, money is a taboo, and often we struggle in silence. So a lot of the times these things can go undetected, and that's why it potentially perpetuates in our own lives versus us tackling it and overcoming it rather quickly.
So the key is we all have to discuss it, especially if we're in a relationship. So when we come back from this commercial break, I'm going to ask you about money and couples and how they should discuss it and why they should discuss it. Because, as we said, it was taboo, but it shouldn't be anymore. So please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's episode, we're discussing financial therapy, healing your relationship to money. And I'm joined by Aseel El-Baba. She's the founder and CEO of Holistic Optimal Wealth and co-founder of Mindfulness and Money. Aseel is a financial therapist, and she focuses on helping people change their money mindset, how they think, feel, behave, and communicate about money. So let's begin. Money used to be a taboo subject, and we just mentioned that. And basically, couples would never discuss it, right? Somebody would be in charge of the money, and this is the way it was. But it's really important for couples or anybody in a relationship to discuss money. So how should couples navigate their financials together?
One of the very powerful tools, and as subtle as this is to schedule the discussion ahead of time and to proactively do so in a way where you show up prepared for it. A lot of the money issues happen because we're reacting in the spur of the moment to whatever situation, and reactions tend to take our rational mind off, and our emotions are the ones taking charge in that moment. But when you schedule it ahead of time, you're showing up prepared, you know what you want to talk about, and you're able to support yourself through that conversation in much better ways than it would be if it was just in the spur of the moment heated argument. So proactively scheduling your money conversations ahead of time is a subtle but very powerful tip. The other one is watching your language. Often we use so one way to remember that is focus on the problem versus the person, because problems certainly have a unit, like you're approaching a problem together as a couple versus you and the other person against one another. So when you say you spend a lot of money, that's shaming and blaming the other person, versus we have a cash flow issue, and this way it's focusing on the problem versus the person. So these are like really subtle and powerful things to keep in mind. The other really powerful thing to do is asking for support from professionals, be it a financial planner, a real estate agent, or depending what financial goal you're trying to work towards, because then you're getting strategies and support and objective advice from people that you can trust and build support systems around you. What's also important is to understand your value system, because we said it earlier in the episode, it's never just about money. There's so much layers to that conversation. So getting insight on not just the value system that drives your decisions and behaviors today, but what are your upbringing and the belief systems that you inherited, because that helps support bringing compassion into the conversation versus just criticism when things go wrong. It shifts the conversation from understanding what happened to the other person versus what's wrong with the other person. Like, again, the shift from blaming and criticizing to compassion and empathy.
And I think that's really important, because when somebody gets angry or something happens, the first thing anybody ever does is blame. And we need to step
Yes.
back and think, okay, so why is this happening? clearly this person needs support. We need to support each other. And compassion goes a long way in any situation, whether it's money or whatever else is going on in your life. And I love the fact that you brought that up because it is really important. We have about a minute left. I want you to tell us about your program, Mindfulness and Money, and tell us what it's all about.
I'm very excited to have co-founded this program, Mindfulness and Money, with my business partner, Rhiannon at Conscious Economics, because we wanted to normalize talking about money. And what we've done is create a community in a safe container where we're able to do that. Every month, there's a theme that we're exploring about money and the intersection of money with any area of our life. So money and spirituality, money and passion, money and career, money and sex, money and relationships, money and communication, all these different layers. And every month we have a video around that and a wellness coach to support you through a tool. And at the same time, a community support coaching call to get on and discuss these things together. So you can find more at consciouseconomics.ca.
Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. This was a really great show. Thank you so much for being on Empowered.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
In order to get you grounded, soothe your nervous system, and make you aware of your finances, Aseel has 5 techniques that you should use. It's simple, and we do it every day. Focus on things that you can see, touch, hear, smell, and taste. And she says that engaging in our 5 senses will help boost your awareness and help calm you down and reduce your tension. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, and I'm here to empower you and make frugality fashionable. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.